If you grew up reading Cosmo or 17 magazine, do you remember those quizzes they used to have that was like, is your crush really into you? Find out with this 32 question quiz. This article is the adult version of that. Being an adult sucks. From the brain trust of Petronella Wyatt comes this article. It is not a commentary. It's not an opinion piece. It is an article that the Telegraph ran. Prince Harry and Boris Johnson are more alike than you might think. Can you spot the difference? Paranoid and broken with an urge to blow everything to smithereens, the two man-children have much in common. Okay. There are two very big problems with this diary entry, and I think it's telling about the state of media. Petronella has a massive conflict of interest here. Between 2000 to 2004, Petronella Wyatt had an affair with Boris Johnson while she was editor of The Spectator. And allegedly, Boris Johnson had promised Petronella that he was going to leave his wife. I could understand why that would harbor resentment for Petronella towards Boris, but listen to Taylor Swift's 10-minute version of All Too Well. Don't write whatever this is. And then there's the other big thing that's lacking here, and it is the acknowledgement of a fundamental difference between Boris Johnson and Prince Harry. Prince Harry was born into a system, into a contractual agreement with media that he had no say in. It's very different than Boris Johnson ruining the country with Brexit. These are two different things, and it's a very important distinction if you are going to have this conversation about similarities between the two men. Let's take a look at some of the more egregious quotes, and then we will get to the quiz because obviously I took it. The first comparison she makes is that both of the men have said that the government has hit rock bottom, but for very different reasons. Harry said that in terms of a free press and press oversight, not the same reason as Boris Johnson. Also, they both attended Eton and had nannies, which, revelatory, really. So did Prince William, but okay. But then she calls them middle-aged men. And maybe I'm just sensitive because I am only a couple years younger than Harry, but ma'am, what are we defining as middle-aged exactly? She goes on to say that Boris is almost a deranged exile in his own country, with a persecution mania so extreme he should follow Harry's example and seek therapy, though perhaps not with the same therapist. The continual mocking of therapy in the British media is incredibly alarming. She goes into the love of money and says, quote, "Living off the largesse of others, a very Harry habit." Ma'am, what say you of the entire British royal family? This isn't like a Harry thing. This is literally the way it's set up in the UK to help fund the lifestyle of the working royals. Not to mention, he is no longer relying on UK taxpayer money, so what's the problem? This part is great. Boris Johnson's new partner, Carrie, is apparently an aspiring Meghan Markle. She too persuaded her husband of the woke virtues: carbon net zero, animal rights, conservation, sustainable fashion. What an absolute monster. Animal rights? What's next? What is next? When will we draw the line? Telling near the end, she writes, "Neither Boris and Harry are real. To sensible Britons, they often seem born in the mind of some Hollywood producer. We may enjoy the show, but we don't like perpetual self-aggrandizing encores." Famously against that, but also it's so interesting given what we've heard again and again, and not just from Harry. I've seen this in quotes from Princess Margaret and others, how the media creates the person and the traits and the characteristics that they want, particularly members of the British royal family, to inhabit, and then project that on them, almost like they're a blank slate. So one could almost say it's not so much a Hollywood producer's idea as a creation of the British media. But if we look down on therapy, we are certainly not doing any self-reflection. Okay, the quiz. First of all, look at how you select which option. They have pictures of the two, and Harry kind of looks a little angry and he's smizing a little bit. I think Tyra would approve. And Boris is he just got electrocuted or something. So here's the first question. I've already answered them and I'll tell you my score, but it says, for me personally, as I said, I want to serve my country. I've done it once and I feel as though I should get the opportunity to do it again. What's funny about these quotes is I feel you could probably attribute them to most politicians and also a lot of members of the royal family. You realize as you go through the questions just how generic they are. The only one that's a giveaway is when someone references being middle-aged, which is obviously Boris Johnson because he's the only one that's actually middle-aged or upper middle-aged between the two of them. One of the quotes is, "You've got to have fun in life. Otherwise, wow, imagine life without fun." I mean, that could be Camilla Parker Bowles. I think the 17 magazine quizzes were more accurate and that scares me. I actually answered this quiz in real time on my Patreon, which was kind of hilarious and reminded me of doing it with girlfriends in our bedroom, except on Patreon now with my internet besties. But here's my score. I'm not entirely pleased with the 6 out of 8, but I'll take it. The best part though is what this apparently says about me. Were Boris to be reincarnated as an olive, you would be the first to notice. What does that mean? I guess that's saying I'm perceptive, but also if an olive with floppy blonde hair came around, I would notice that. That is true. I hope the next article is just which man is right for you, and it's like King Charles, Boris Johnson, Prince Harry, and they go through the pros and the cons, and then you have to see who you're compatible with, because that's honestly just about as serious as this piece is.